Sunday we started our regular sessions with a talk by Swami Sridharanandaji on the impact of Swami Vivekananda's speech at the Parliament of Religions in 1893. Last Sunday was 11th September, coincidentally. And those of you who could not be present missed a great deal. Those who were present will say that. Today's talk is about weed out. Now let me start with Swami Kripamayananda, direct disciple of Sri Ramakrishna. The very name is who rejoices in the supreme love, prema. He was in fact a very loving soul, exceedingly loving soul. Swami Kripamayananda stayed at Belur Mutt and looked after every detail of the Mutt administration and guided and trained the young monks to inculcate the art of perfection in every action and the lessons of practical Vedanta in everyday life. No work was insignificant to him or beneath his dignity. He used to teach, every work is sacred, whether you cut vegetables, whether you prepare cow dung balls, whether you go out to give lectures or worship in the chapel. Everything is service unto the Lord. You have to learn to do everything with an equal sense of reverence and sanctity in your heart. My boys, one day you will have to do very responsible things. If you don't learn the habit of responsibility in small things, you will not learn the habit of responsibility in big things. You will cheat. Life inspires life. Swami Kripamayananda's life went on inspiring the young monks and made a deep impression on their minds. Swami Gyaneshwarananda recalls, we were weeding the mud garden. Swami Kripamayananda was watching us and he noticed that one of the boys was not pulling the weeds out by the roots. He called to him, my boy, you must pull the weeds out by the roots. Otherwise, you are simply fooling yourself and wasting time. If you do not realize the necessity of rooting out weeds in the garden, how can you weed out your old faults and tendencies? How can you understand the real meaning of spiritual life? And he added significantly, weed out, boys, weed out, root and all. With this story from Swami Kripamayanandaji, let us begin today's talk, weed out. It's all about building a beautiful garden. We know how weeds just not only take away the beauty of the garden, it take away the nourishment that we try to give to the flowering plants or the vegetables. So weed, in fact, take away all that we wanted to grow, all we wanted to achieve goes in vain. Sri Ramakrishna used to say that why so many people do so much of spiritual practice, take the name of God, but we don't find remarkable progress. Then he said, It is like a field where you irrigate, where you put water, but underneath there are some holes between the barriers that were not covered, and all water just flows away. It doesn't stand on the field, and field remains dry. It is like the rowing of a boat while it is still anchored. All night a boat was rowed by a few persons came to the city, and they went to see the city, and the evening they enjoyed themselves with some drinks, alcoholic drinks. So all were a little intoxicated, and in the evening they had to go back to their village in a boat. They sat down on the boat, and beautiful moon was there, and they were half intoxicated. One person started rowing, after that he woke up, another person, he started rowing. Whole night they just rowed the boat. To their surprise, in the morning they found they are at the same place where they had started rowing the boat. They said, what happened? We worked all night, no benefit. Nothing did we achieve, not an inch we progressed. Then one person remembered the intoxication had been removed by the time. One person said, did you remember to pull out the anchor? Oh, we forgot to pull out the anchor. Anchor is still there, and putting the boat at one place. That happens with the weeds. It is like if we don't weed out from the garden, all our achievement is useless, all our labor goes in vain. We don't find the beauty of life. Ram Prasad said one beautiful song, "Oh mind, you don't know how to cultivate, you don't know how to do farming. This human body and mind is like a field, and you didn't utilize it, it just remained uncultivated, a barren land because of your not doing anything. If we had done work with it, the snow will, the gold will come out, the golden harvest will come out of it. You will have achieved so much. Your life will be so beautiful and so full of blessings. You didn't attempt anything. You didn't do anything. So we need to cultivate our life. And while cultivating, we need to be careful of weeding out. Ram Prasad says further, in the song, you have to give a fence for the field. What fence you will give? Give the fence of the name of Mother Kali. Kali Name Davare Beda. If you protect yourself with Mother's name, nothing will happen. Whatever you cultivate will remain there. It is like plugging the holes in the field where the water was being drained out. Plug the holes first. Then you can utilize the water. What is that plugging the holes? Be aware of the divine presence. Remember the Mother Kali always, or whatever your chosen deity is. Kali Name Davare Beda. Then your whatever you cultivate will not go in vain. The animals will not come and eat up the things. Deer or other goat will not come and eat away. You have to fence yourself. That is the name of Mother who will surround you. Then what is the seed that you will sow? What the plants you want to grow? The seed is the name given by your Guru. Guru Datta Bij Ropan Kore. That is the seed. Cultivate that. Just put the seed on, and how the seed will grow. You have the good body in the seed. What water will you give? Bhakti Bari Shechidena. And with full of devotion you put the seed. Your devotion will work like the water. Soil is ready. You have given the fence of Mother's name, and you have put the seed, and you are watering with devotion. Then the beautiful plant will come out, flowers, fruits, whatever you wanted to achieve from this human life, you will gain. Oh mind, Ram Prasad said at the end, if you can't do it alone, why don't you ask Ram Prasad to go with you? Why don't you take the help of Ram Prasad? That means if mind cannot do all this, thinking of God, having full of devotion, repeating God's name always, Ram Prasad says, if mind wafers. Take Ram Prasad with you. That is, put all faculties of yours, intellect, emotion, whatever faculty, willpower, whatever faculty the Ram Prasad has, put that into that cultivation. Then the flower and fruits will come from the seeds given by the Guru as the name of God. All is done. But the problem is weeds. Sometimes in doing that, weeds remain. And we take away the beauty, the nourishment, the labor, the effort, and weeds are so powerful, they sometimes outgrow the plant that we want to grow. They take away everything. And they grow so big, they just hide the plants, flowers, vegetables, they don't allow them to grow. And they grow very easily. Very resistant, very easily. So weeds need to be rooted out. Otherwise we won't have that beautiful garden from this life, human life, by cultivating. What are really the weeds in spiritual life? We want to progress spiritually. We want to make ourselves the best. We want to remove all our inhuman qualities or non-divine qualities. We want to become divine. We want to manifest divinity that is already in us, as Swami Vivekananda says. He laid emphasis on renunciation. It has to be understood with the context. What is renunciation for the householder? Renunciation for the householder is not being alone and going to the forest. Renunciation for the householder is detachment. Mental renunciation, as Sri Ramakrishna says. Internal renunciation. External renunciation for those few who want to become monk. But renunciation is necessary for everyone to have spiritual growth. And that renunciation is internal renunciation. Getting attached to nothing in the world. There will be one attachment, and that will be with God. God is my own. I belong to Mother, and Mother belongs to me. That beautiful song we haven't heard for a long time. I belong to God, and God belongs to me. And what is the rest? My family ties, my responsibility, my duties, my work, my job. Those are all means to live in the world. But those are not the goal of life. The goal of life is to grow myself better by having devotion to God. What are then the weeds which take away our efforts, our energies? One of the weeds to be recounted is bad thoughts. I want to think always good. Loving thoughts, good thoughts. These bad thoughts often come. And these thoughts of selfishness, of jealousy, of greed, all those thoughts make us really weak. The thing what makes us weak is a great weed. Oh, I cannot do that. I cannot achieve that goal. I cannot become like humanity. Often we say, oh, I am a simple householder. How I can have that renunciation that you have? Renunciation was not meant only for the monks. Devotion to God, love for God, spiritual progress was meant for every human being. Monastic life and householder life are only two different kind of way we live. Our goal is same. We want to manifest all goodness that is in me, that is innate in me, that is inherent in me. And it is possible whether you live a life of a monk or live a life of a householder, taking the responsibility of a family. As a householder, it is difficult to keep and put all our mind in God. But it is possible. And God becomes happy with little of the spiritual practice that householders do. A monk is supposed to think of God always. A householder, if he thinks or she thinks of God twice a day, that is also great merit. He will be taken across. God knows with what difficulty you can think of God. Sri Ramakrishna used to say, spiritual practice by the householder is like having a heavy load on the head and still working with two hands. Difficult. But little will become a merit. There will be the power will come that will support your weight of the head if we start a little. Another weed is sense of remorse for things done in the past. That makes anything that makes us weak is a big weed. We have to feel strong. Often we feel so weak and bad for what we did in the past, remembering of the past. Oh, I should have not done that. What, when I was 16 years old, why I behaved to a teacher like that, or why I behaved to my student like that, or why did I say such thing to my father? Forget that. Now become good. We have not done any mistake in life. Failures and mistakes are the teachers. They make you grow stronger. Forget those. You should not be always thinking of those and making yourself weak by thinking of what fault you had done in the past. Guilt feeling is the greatest weed, one of the greatest weed. That was the wrong idea. Nothing wrong can do. We are divine. That message of Swami Vivekananda. We are pure. That purity has to manifest. Oh, that was mistake done. But that was mistake. Everybody in the world does mistake. Swami Vivekananda, famous quotation, if cow don't do mistakes, wall doesn't steal, but wall remains a wall and cow remains a cow. Human being do mistake and they overcome the mistake. Every sinner has a future. Sinner, we are not sinners. Then we often remember the past and we are often worried for the future. What will happen if my job is gone? How will I get a job? What will happen if I feel in the old age I have a lot of pain? What will happen if I get cancer? What will happen if I have heart trouble? Why you worry now? Why do you die before the death comes? A coward who worries for future died many times before the death comes. Let it come. This body has to die by some means. Often people say that Swami Vivekananda got the boon of giving a body by his will from Shiva in Amarnath. And doctors came after Swamiji died and they said, oh, he had heart failure because blood came a little from the nostril. Then what is true? Did he die of the heart failure or did he die by his own will? There is no conflict. He died by his own will, but to die there had to be something. Heart had to stop to die. You have to be heart failure. If your heart is beating, how will you die? So he died by his own will and Shiva had granted him. For that there was a heart failure, lungs failure, something was there. Something had to come. We have to quit this world. Cancer will come, heart failure will come. Why do we worry for that? There are people, there is wonderful health benefit system in this country. There are wonderful doctors, world-renowned doctors. They will treat this body till it lasts. One day it will drop down. But what that to me? How much this body, I have cultivated body and mind, that is the question. Beautiful garden, don't we grow? Outside, so nice flowers, so nice parks. What happens when winter comes, autumn comes? Flower dry down, vegetables all go away. But is that the reason that garden has lost its utility? Was it useless? Will garden last forever? Garden gave its joy and beauty and its service to the people. That was it. My body and mind did a great job. And now the time has come to give up this body. And as Vedantists, we are not afraid to give up the body. We are going to have a new body. Again the spring will come after the winter. Again there will be gardening. Again the beautiful zinnia and marigold will flower as we see outside the garden, outside the ashram here. So that way, no worries for future. If we really love God and have dependence on God, God will look after our future. It has been always being taken care of future. Let us not be worried by mishaps in the life. Those will come. We will die, our relations will die. But that should not bog us down. That is the culmination of this life. Again the life begins, new life begins. That is it. And another way is not able to live in the present and miss the beauty and joy of life. This present is so beautiful, so enriching. If we are always worried for the future or always bogged down by the past, you will miss everything. You walk on the sidewalk, you walk on the park, how nice trees are there, how beautiful squirrels are there walking, birds chirping. If we have all the worries, what this person say, what I did to him and all that, you go to the garden, you walk a lot, but you don't enjoy anything. Beautiful moon, half moon last evening if you are seeing, golden moon was there near the horizon. If you see the moon, yet you have your mind full of worries, where the beauty you will enjoy. Present will not give anything. Present is beautiful. We need to be able to shake off the worries for the future and whatever happened in the past. And that is possible. That will be progress, spiritual progress. Now, with these weeds of weakness, hopelessness, and all our, whatever the weakness tends to bring us. So we want to remove the weakness and regain our strength. We don't have to become really strong to be able to love, to have compassion, to have positive feeling. It's already there. We just remove the weaknesses and all the positiveness that is in us, it just manifests. So what we need to do? First we need to train our mind. Train our mind not to be affected by the past or the future, to be able to be in the present as much as possible. By training it's possible. The past was a teacher, just think that. Future is in the hands of God, whatever it comes. Why to worry? So let us enjoy the present. Short life, 80, 90, 100 years is nothing. It goes away. So why not to enjoy the present in the life? Then if we could train our mind, we will be weeding out the weeds, rooting out the weeds. There is one story, just like it's not connected with mud, but the story is interesting. It's about weeding out. Once, one old father, he had a son. They were farmers. Father had become old to plow the field. And somehow his son was implicated in some criminal thing, though he had done nothing wrong, but he was somehow got into the thing and he was put to the jail. Now the season came, spring approached, and the field needed to be plowed. The father writes to his son, who was in jail. He said that, "Son, you are not here, and I am alone. I don't have energy to plow the field and make the field ready. If you were with me now, we would have grown Italian tomatoes." Son got this letter in the jail. He was not a criminal, just he was implicated as a criminal. Then to his father he wrote, "Dad, don't plow the field because there are bodies inside, bodies of human dead bodies inside." This letter, while coming out of the jail, was censored by the FBI. The FBI saw there are dead bodies, he's really a big criminal. They plowed whole field. Nothing was found there. Son got this news that I could do this much for you. Now please plant the Italian tomatoes. So what is another way of weeding out to train the mind? Best is meditation. If we could really meditate fix the wavering mind at one place. That is being in present. What is meditation? Meditation is being in present. You don't think of the past, you don't think of the future. You want to be at the present. You just, when you think of your chosen ideal in the heart, or some higher ideal in the heart, and just want to meditate and fix your mind on a particular ideal, you are trying to remain in the present. That gives you strength. That is weeding out. What are the tools really to weed out from our spiritual life? Tools for weeding out is discrimination. Otherwise we would be attached. We need to discriminate for when we fall in the trap of greed, trap of desire, trap of seeing a future. Oh, my life has been failure. Our life is never a failure. We live as the God wanted. If our life will be really failure if we couldn't cultivate what we could in this human life. Not getting a big job, not becoming a CEO of the office is not a failure at all. Failure is not being able to cultivate our life. So discrimination, that is discernment from what is really we should want, what we should hold on, what we should let go. That discrimination is very important. Without that there will come no detachment. Then comes detachment. Withdraw yourself from your association with the world, thinking that this is mine, this is I. Try to withdraw. There is nothing I and mine. Everything that you perceive belongs to nature. To say that nature's thing as I and mine is utterly wrong. This body is totally a thing of the nature, as is a tree, as is an animal, as is another planet. This body and mind belong to nature. Don't think them as yours. You are the self, resplendent, shining. That alone is you. So detached from everything that makes you feel I and mine. Whenever I say, Swami Vivekananda say, whenever you say my brother, my son, my wife, my husband, you are putting bondage around you. You will not be free. Beautiful garden without weeds will make you free, will make you happy. If weeds grow, you will be under bondage. Another tool for weeding out is holy company. Try to have the company of good. That is very essential in the beginning. Always associating with good people so that we talk all positive things, inspiring things. Jesus says this, Swami Vivekananda said this, Guru Nanak's life was like that. We will be talking like that. And you don't have to even go to those great saints and incarnations. Simple people here, you will find so many examples among our contemporary persons who do so wonderful works. So pure, truthful, you will find among your colleagues and your neighbors. Those are the good people, the good company of good people. That makes us strong and inspires a lot. Then, what makes us enriched is reading sacred books. Books that give positive thoughts. Books that really speak to our heart. Those gives us strength. While reading book, we are inspired. Again, this thing comes out and we forget that and we get so much involved with the world, and then we can't really make practical because we don't meditate on that. Reading the books and trying to hold on to what we read, what we studied. That is important of self-study. I read something that we need to be polite in behavior. So nice, I should be polite. Why I do get angry? Why I just speak out in the sense? It's my mistake, I find while reading. But after reading into the book, then again someone comes and I treat as I was. So that will not work. We need to think more and practice and make it practical what we read. Then controlling our speech. Speech is so important that really matters a lot in our life and in others' life with whom we speak. We need to have control over what we speak, how we speak, The same thing, it can be said in a different way. You want to say something to a friend, just think, how will it affect you? Sri Ramakrishna used to say, never hurt others with your speech. Someone came and he was lame, his one leg was gone. So Sri Ramakrishna said, don't say that, hello, how you became lame? Don't say that way. That is a very harsh approach. You are curious to know? Better don't ask that person. Ask someone else. Do you know what happened to that person? He was so okay. If you have to ask him, just ask politely, sir, can I ask you? I'm very curious and I feel so sorry. What made you to this condition? I feel so sorry for you. He will be happy. Don't have direct and hitting words to others. Don't ever criticize others at their face. Don't talk ill about others on their back. All harms you. Maximum. Other person will hear and will be unhappy. So, controlling our speech is one of the tools to weed out. Do not disturb others. Let them be free. Yes, mano dvijate loko. From whom the world is not disturbed, that type of person is dear to me, God says. That is my real devotee who doesn't disturb others. And those who do not disturb others also should practice not to be disturbed by others. Lokano dvijate chaya. It is a technique, how not to get disturbed from others. Others will come, there will be a variety of people. Some will try to instigate you, some will try to make you angry. Some will say some words. How not to be affected by those words is again the spiritual practice. And as it is said, when somebody wants to insult you, don't take the insult. Just try to judge the person what he or she says. If what he or she says is right, this is also Swami Kripamayananda said to brahmacharis. When somebody comes and says something to you, criticizing you, what you did and said, judge what he said or she says. If there is merit in what she or he has said, try to correct yourself. If what she or he says is not right, you didn't mean that, just ignore that and be at peace. So make that utilize. Then that type of person also is dear to me, he is my devotee. And what the devotee will be? Harsha amarsha bhaya udvega mukta. He should be free from excessive elation, harsha. That also makes you forget yourself, like getting intoxicated. You forget. When you are elated so much, be controlled in that also. Amarsa, when you are too cowed down, too sad, that also should remove. And discrimination is the thing too there. Always try to say, what made me so bad? Oh, some person came and she said something on my face. What does that person know about me? What he or she said was his or her mind speaking. What he or she understood about me. What he or she said is not right about me. So, Amarsha, try to control your sadness or feeling of bogged down by discrimination. And bhaya, fear. Fear comes if we are not dependent on God. Too much dependence on ourselves makes us fear. What will happen? Be dependent on God. All fear will go. And it is always God who takes our care for everything. He will look after. Even Gandhiji, when he was having his independent movement, so many things to do, meeting so many persons, so many agitations, so many people involved. At night, how do these people sleep? What Gandhiji used to do, he used to take all the problems that was taken care and said all the problems he used to put at the feet of Sri Krishna, his chosen deity, and have a nice sleep at night. He used to sleep very short time, but have very good sleep. But be able to hand over your responsibility to the real entity, real being. He is responsible for what I do. I am really taken care of by mother. That faith has to come. It comes by practice, by thinking again and again. And another tool is faith in divinity of soul. faith in our innate perfection, faith in the power of God's name. Let me read from the Gospel of Sri Ramakrishna. So Sri Ramakrishna says, someone gave me a book on Christianity. I asked him to read out to me. It contained sin and sin alone. To Keshav. Your Brahmo Samaj also speaks of sin and sin alone. One who constantly speaks, I am bound, that rascal really gets bound. He who repeats day and night, I am a sinner, does become a sinner. Positive thoughts. We are pure, we are divine, we have all perfection in us. There should be such faith in the name of the Lord. I have chanted His name. Shall I be a sinner still? What sin for me? What bondage for me? Krishna Kishore is a pious Hindu, a Brahmin who worships the Lord with single-minded devotion. Once he went to Vrindavan. One day, while roaming about, he felt thirsty. He went to a well where he saw a man standing. Krishna Kishore said to him, Brother, will you please give me a pot of water? Of what caste are you? The man replied, Panditji, I belong to a low caste, a cobbler. Krishna Kishore said, You may say Shiva, and now draw water for me. Just say Shiva and draw water for me. By chanting the name of Bhagavan, the body and mind of man all become pure. Why talk of sin and hell alone? Just say but once, I shall not repeat the wrongs I have done, and have faith in His name. Positivity, not harping on what we did, whatever mistake we committed. That's what is the weeding out, according to Sri Ramakrishna. Be strong, feel yourself strong, feel yourself pure. You are the heir of divinity, heir of immortality. Amritasya putraha. What does it matter? Ramanuja advised for spiritual practice some 7 items. How can we grow our spirituality? That is equal to weeding out the weeds. He said viveka, discrimination. Discriminate what you think, what you eat, what you speak. Always be alert and put your mind on, be aware of what you are doing, what type of food you are eating. Ramanuja laid much emphasis on the food, which Shankaracharya said, whatever you intake is like ahara, is like food. Like what sort of information you gather, what sort of news you are interested to see always. Those are all the food. If it is a junk food, junk thought, junk news coming, stop that. Don't get that to that. What is that to me? How does it help me spiritually? Our focus is spiritual progress. Viveka is the first thing Ramanuja said to have the spiritual progress. Then Vimukha. Vimukha is freedom from worldly desires. Desires for worldly enjoyment, desires for wealth. There should not be that much that I want to become very rich, very famous, and I want to enjoy the world. You should have check on that. If you are free from that, you will attain the higher bliss in life. Then abhyasa, the third he said is abhyasa, practice. Practice in thought, words and deeds, keeping them in harmony. Your whole focus in practice should be given towards the spiritual practice. In your work, in your thoughts and your deeds. So he prescribed, with your hands, practice ritual worship of Lord. Whatever you come, show a candle, offer flowers, whatever you do. It's all directed towards God. And with your mouth, words, what do you speak? You speak, chant the name of God with the mouth. And with your mind, meditate on God with thoughts. The thoughts, meditating on God, hands working, worship of God, and mouth speaking the name of God or chanting the name of God, that is abhyasa or practice according to Ramanuja. The fourth, he says, is the kriya. What is kriya? Action. What action? Doing good to others. That should be the action. That is all for weeding out the unwanted plants from the garden that we want to grow, from the harvest that we want to make in our life. What are that? Those are five folds. Kriya, good to others. What is that? Study holy and good books every day. Swadhyaya. Something of good every day you should study. Works of Swami Vivekananda, Thomas A. Kempe, Bible, Quran, whatever you read, that inspires you. What is that? Worship of God or reverence to holy person. You show holy person, go to holy person, or worship of God, visit God. Duty towards ancestors. Always being proud of my ancestors. I belong to such a clan, such a lineage, and show reverence to them. Don't neglect your ancestors. It gives a lot of strength to us to be able to say, I was born, my grandfather was this, my father was this. It's just not the light pride. It gives us strength and shapes us from doing something that we should not do. My father was a freedom fighter. He gave his everything for the country. My father was so truthful. My father was so honest. Everyone's parents or grandparents, we recall all so many great qualities. Everyone has great qualities. To be able to give that reverence to our parents is one of the duties. And it is a kriya, or being good to others. Looking to the welfare of family, neighbors and society. That is very important in spiritual practice. And fifth is duties for protection of plants and animals. It is like Pancha Mahayajna. Deva Yajna, Rishi Yajna, Indri Yajna, Bhuta Yajna and Pitri Yajna. Those are essential, Ramanuja says, to be done. The fifth is Kalyana. Kalyana is charity. Charity always doing good to others. And fifth is Anavasada. Not yielding to despondency. Anavasada. You are never unhappy. Keep yourself cheerful. Swami Vivekananda said that the sign of spirituality is cheerfulness. If you are despondent, if you are long-faced, it is anything but not spirituality. Always try to be happy. If you are happy, it's just attempt. Try to be happy and say, I am happy. This saying, auto-suggestion, often helps. I am happy. You say, how are you? Oh, I have a lot of leg pain. Then you feel so morose. Try to forget. How are you? I am happy. I am keeping well. Whatever God wants to me keep well, keeping well. You forget what disease you have. Forget for the time being that you have heart disease. You tame the tiger. One person, one of the devotees has a cancer, violent type of cancer. And he says, Swamiji, I am taming the tiger. Tame the tiger. Don't worry, it can do nothing. So like that, don't fall into despondency. That is another practice Ramanuja said to have a spiritual growth. Don't feel sorry. See, I am happy. There are some devotees, I ask, how are you? Very happy, Swami, very good. That makes you feel so nice. He is happy, and listening to that, you feel happy. I feel so happy to listen to that. No complaint for anything that happens to you. That's conquering despondency. If you complain, there are a lot of things to complain. Overlook that. Those are parts of life. Only the good things, only the nice things, only the happier things. Then, seventh and the last is Uddharsha. Uddharsha is avoidance of excessive merriment. That harsha, I described that what Sri Krishna said in the Gita. Harsha amarsha bhaya udvegai mukto yah satame priya. Ramanuja, the great Acharya, Parvit Shankara, the Bhakti school, he said, Uddharsha, getting elated too much also is not conducive for spiritual practice, because you forget yourself. Your favorite team wins and you are elated so much that you forget everything. Some people do. The people of our age generally don't do that way. Younger people generally are very much elated. Even we in our age, when we get grandson or granddaughter, we feel so happy, forget even the God. If you forget God for that, then it's really uddharsha. You say, oh, how beautiful is my granddaughter. She looks just like a Devi, Lakshmi. And you forget everything. Who gave that? Who gave granddaughter to you? Instead of uddharsha, it will bring you more love to God. Whatever we get, happy in life, someone said, it should pull you to God. Whatever difficulties come in life, that should push you to God. Whenever you are in trouble, come to God and pray to Him. Lord, please save me from this. Whenever you find something you achieve, something you get, some wonderful, make you happy, come to God and say, Lord, thank you for giving me this. You are the one who gives me this. Give me strength when I am weak, and give me composure when I am elated. Let me not forget you, as someone had prayed. Whatever happens after my death, I don't mind at all. Even if I am born as a pig, Lord, please see that I do not forget you. I am always aware of your presence and my relation with you as my intimate companion, intimate friend, this life, next life, previous life. You are the one who is my own.